Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me and Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra's Sunday morning calm abiding meditation, followed by a talk. Thank you for joining me. I'm sure you're already settled in your seat. And so we'll do the short prayers at the beginning to tune our mind that we're doing this not just for me and now and my body to feel good, but try to develop a good mind so that we are of benefit and help to others and in the future by doing this vigil of peace that is so much needed in the world. And for this purpose, we sit still in solidarity with all the peace-loving people, and so that all the conflicts and problems are resolved, whether it's individual, interpersonal, communal, between nations, or international, be resolved in a peaceful, humane manner. So for this, with that dedication in mind, we'll do the prayers. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Aitere Pute Laitame Bhavachu Agevendala Ashare Buddha Vatu and the Buddha Dharma Sangha Aitere Yata Laidam Bhavachu Ajivandhala Aishare Buddha Vatu. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they never apart from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they never apart from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those near and far. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they never apart from happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, and those near and far. So now we will sit in good discipline by observing the 4S, the stillness of the posture, and the sincerity of your motivation, and mindful to keep whether you're still or whether you're rigid, or so try to position your body properly and do that with very wholehearted, sincere, as we are doing this voluntarily. And your attention should be very serene, very sharp, say on the posture, say on the forward counting of the qualified round breathing, or reverse counting of the super qualified round breathing. So all of that do with this great simplicity, and be gentle. So I use the gong to time those 3 slots of roughly about 10 minutes each. Be very disciplined and stay very sharp and good purpose and very high resolution of attention to yield, tranquilizing, calm, peaceful, and very insightful mind. So with the good meditation like this, it is always helpful for our mind and the body and thoughts, not only during the time, but about past, and as well as how our mind might see or feel or know and do, form opinions hereafter, because meditation can have great benefit. So this brings me today to talk on the Buddhist beliefs, Buddhism with beliefs in relation to the law of karma. It's a very universal belief. I don't think it's only Buddhists who believe in law of cause and effect. Others don't talk about karma as such, but nevertheless they say what you sow, you will reap. In Judeo-Christian teachings, and if you were to believe in that saying that what you sow you reap, and when you sow and when you reap, so that means you don't sow, you don't reap what you sow just now. There's a big gap between time you sow and time you reap. So naturally, the belief in the law of cause and effect have to make you believe in what kind of span of time it takes time for the cause to come into fruition. And so it is naturally called karma, or belief in the law of cause and effect. It's talking about the law, meaning it has a particular system by which it happens by itself. It's not some kind of a law imposed by Buddhist upon Buddha to his disciples. He didn't impose that. Buddha himself was subjected to the law before he was even born. So it wasn't some new law and rule that he employed and wrote it down like a constitution or something, and then saying that anybody who follows the Buddhism must follow the law of cause and effect. That's not really the case. The teaching of law of karma and understanding of it and honoring that things we do has an effect was very, very early. It was much, much, much earlier, and probably it was believed very time immemorial from the very early days. So what makes a Buddhist to believe in the law of karma is in relation to their own present conduct, as well as present life's experiences, and how they may take precaution and fearing the consequences if one does this and says this and thinks this, and then also learns oneself to assess certain experiences that our body or mind or lives are inevitably having to go through without our liking or choosing of it, it seems. So the Buddhist has the belief that, this must be something I have done in the past, and the consequences of which I am now experiencing. So they tend to accept it more humbly speaking, more with the humility to accept the certain experiences, because it is said that if one believes in the law of karma, you tend to accept the experiences you're going through as a result of past actions. And quite a lot of time people think we are experiencing the effect of actions of others. That's not Buddhist belief. Buddhist belief is we are experiencing effects of actions of our own self. some other time, maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I'm sure all of you would say that you have a profession with which you earned your living and make a valid contribution to the world. But the profession that you practice for 20, 30 years is an effect of you studying just as that many years before you became school teacher, or before you became a doctor or a nurse or a carpenter or whatever it is, So people don't go and become a carpenter for the sake of on the day. He or she wanted to master the art, so that they become the result of what they study, so that they actually can. So we are all living proof of our own actions and their results. Some of the results may be produced by actions that we could probably almost see as recent as few months ago. Because if you somebody wanted to plant some herbs in the garden, and I said, yes, please, please do the. But I said, yeah, you have to sow the seed and you have to water it. You watch it, and in few months' time it will grow. So it's like that. Some things that we sow takes only a couple of months. Other things it takes a couple of years. And some others, Buddhist belief, takes more than one life, and so therefore, it's a Buddhist belief is that yes, there are some things we do very, very frantically, even in this life, but we don't see the results, But we still know that they won't go astray, and they won't be sort of be rewarded, or they won't be punished, or they won't have the similar consequences of what we do. So we have this belief, don't we? That's a really good, comforting thing about those who believe in the karma as a Buddhist. They actually accept their problems and sufferings not as a dint or doing and work of somebody else's, but our own past. And therefore we have the ability to accept. When you are able to accept, you actually change the karma. So acceptance has its own consequences, and rejection has its own consequences. So not only past actions have produced a result, that whether we accept it or reject it also has the consequences of the acceptance and rejection. So therefore, a Buddhist would if somebody blames you, they say you should accept the blame. Why? Because if somebody blames you, this means not that they are blaming you, but you have blamed other people before. So therefore, so if somebody blames you, then and if you accept the part of it that may have some grain of truth in it, but when by the virtue of you accepting, you are already de-escalating the problem, and therefore gives the problem not go unaddressed, because you accept the thing that they have done the blaming, and then whether it's entirely wrong or entirely right, when you accept the fact that's their opinion, and you can't argue it's their opinion. It is their opinion. So, but their opinion have their own consequences to them too. Don't you worry about that. So you rather accept that they have blamed, and when you accept that, and you wouldn't reject it, you wouldn't bark at them, because if you bark at them, it will have its own consequences. If you accept it, it will have all consequences. So what's the consequence of acceptance? You won't have the animosity to them for blaming you, but you have the humility and kindness to accept it in order to reduce their anxiety. If you accept it, it actually reduces the velocity of the problem that is on their hand. And so as soon as you accept it, then what happens is you are actually exhausting the karma and the effect of your blaming to others in the past. And you would not do the blaming yourself in the future, because you don't like to be blamed just as you have experienced just then. So because of that, you are actually believing that if you accept the act of acceptance, it will have consequences that are similar to the similar to the benefit of the acceptance. Whereas if you reject it, then reject it. If you reject it, then the cause that has been conditioned by other, that the other have been maybe deluded enough to blame, is escalated. But even when you accept it, then it actually de-escalate their neurosis or their anger or their negativity, and you're not entirely able to erase their wrongdoing, but now is that your ability to do that. But your ability to accept the experiences, because if you experience someone's blaming, and a Buddhist would accept that, saying, I must have done such things in the past. This definitely is coming back through this person, what I've done in the past, so I should practice tolerance. If you practice tolerance, then you know that the tolerance is the seed, so the harvest, and the seed is the harm the person is inflicting on you. So therefore, it's not really, during the time when the farmers sow, it's a back-breaking job. And even during harvest, it's just the same. But once you enjoy the harvest, then of course you enjoy the harvest that you reap. So when you practice tolerance, tolerance is far more long-lasting and benefit to you than is impatient and fighting back. So that's why Buddhists believe in the consequences of your own action. Never mind what triggered you to practice acceptance or tolerance, and so because the thing may cause help or harm to you is not the thing itself. It's how we are conditioned. If we are vulnerable, we could the effect of the thing is therefore what the person said or did looks like blaming, but they're only the messenger. The real message was sent by our past lives. So it's not so much they are doing it, they are just the messenger. The message has been sent by our own past. So this is the Buddhist belief. So you don't see the person who blames you as the cause of harming you, because you do not know that you know that they can't harm you. Only your incompetence in rejecting it will harm you more, on top of their blaming you. But if you see them as a messenger, you don't shoot the messenger, do you? So they say. So therefore, they are the messenger. The message has been sent by your past actions, which we do not remember, which we do not remember for some reason, you know. But because we tend to forget the bad we did, you know, let alone their consequences when they ripen, you know. It's like they call bad debt, you know. Bad debt we don't remember. Bad debt means the person who owes the debt doesn't want to remember and acknowledge it, you know. So when you acknowledge, I may have forgotten, this is what I may have done to other people, this person is a mere messenger, then you have the belief in the virtue of acceptance and patience. And you do not therefore resort to retaliation. Buddhists don't believe in the karma, then of course they will be practicing zero tolerance. Why people are zero tolerance? Because they don't see any cause and effect relationship. They don't realize zero tolerance who would have consequences. Zero tolerance will make oneself very, very agitated, often ever agitated person. Zero tolerance. When you practice patience today, when you practice patience tomorrow, and slowly it will make you very peaceful. The person who may be aggressive to you cannot agitate you, cannot make you aggressive because of their aggression. You can actually remain calm when they are aggressive to you. Why? You believe in the cause and effect relationship between the things you do. So physically, they say, a person who is wealthy, they say, it's because he has practiced generosity in the past. So the person who is materially comfortable in terms of what you need and what you have and where you live and so on, you got all the things you need. Person who believes in Buddhist karma rejoices that, oh, I'm so fortunate and merited to have live in such abundant country, have a job, have security, have a house, have this and that. He rejoices them as the harvest of his past sowing the seeds of practicing generosity to other people. Yet in a very affluent kind of a wealthy country, you can see some people are really living below poverty line. It's not because of the country or something. It's because of their choice. You can see how they are very poor, and maybe even they do have reasonable amount, they still are very disgruntled, very unhappy. So the person who feel miserable and don't think that he's got enough things, that he thinks nobody loves him, it's because that's the result of his practicing theft or robbery or dishonest things with material object in the past. So one who has been dishonest and stealing and robbing and cheating others materially, he will never have happiness with material object, even if he have some in this life. Most possibly he won't be born or have sufficient things due to his karma of poverty in the past, have caused robbery and theft into other people. Then he won't get any material. He never attracts enough. If he does attract, it only becomes cause of conflict. It doesn't become cause of happiness or cause of pleasure because the person has caused such experience to other people by robbing them, by stealing them, by cheating them, or being so deceptive to other people. And he will find in this life, he will find all the near and dear people are doing that to him. And so he himself are now the experiencing what he did in the past, negatively speaking, in terms of material. But if you experience the opposite because you have abundant things in your life, you had a secure job, you have a steady income, and you have the things you need in your life very well, and you're very contented, that's because that's the Buddhists believe this is the merit of having practiced generosity in the past, and you didn't take anything from others that is ungiven to you, you didn't deceive anybody, and therefore you have a lot of contentment in this life. And you may not be as wealthy and well off than others, but even though your things are very humble, but you have lots of happiness, Why? Because your happiness comes from the causing happiness to other people in the past. If you have caused happiness to other people by practicing generosity and showing respect and speaking kindly to others, then you too will enjoy this happiness because you also do not experience someone abusing you, deceiving you in this life, because you're experiencing exactly what you may have done in the past to other people. And say if you do experience some adverse things, like say ill health and ill health after ill health, ill health after ill health, then they say that the ill health is a result of harming and injuring, physically abusing and causing injury or damage to people's home or property or body or their thoughts or their feelings. If you did that in the past life, or maybe even in this life, you will unavoidably experience a lot of ill health. So the ill health it might have near cause of diet and behavior and I don't know, whatever the things might be. Doctors wouldn't say, "Oh, you're sick because you did this in the past life to other people." No, doctors will tell you that. Most doctors will say, "Oh gosh, you're not enough. You haven't got enough iron. You're not doing enough exercise. You're not enough sugar." So they will only tell you the more near and immediate causes of your ill health, but they don't know the karmic causes of your illnesses. So that's why doctors can only tell the biological causes of the illness, but not karmic causes of the illness. But Buddhists actually believe that there is a karma as well as a behavior in this life. So therefore, if a Buddhist practitioner undergoes through some illness, it will be Buddhist attitude to say, "Oh, I am very, very aware of the karma I must have created to harm other living beings, maybe throwing water on the insects, or walking on top of them, or injuring them, or even in this life, earlier this life, we may have been quite absent-minded and bit so aggressive and harmful to other living beings. So you can actually see the behavior of us, how inconsiderate people can be to small living creatures, as if their life isn't very important. But when it comes to us in smallest little kind of pain or problem on our small parts of our body, it becomes a big problem. But when it comes to stepping on a small creature, it's nothing. So people don't realize that everything we do have consequences. So a Buddhist, therefore, behaviorally watch his or her conduct, whether they are doing something harmful directly, either physically or verbally or mentally. So the karma becomes very important, where the individual themselves to instigate mindfulness, to abstain from doing certain deeds physically, or saying certain words verbally, or thinking certain thoughts like ill will, covetousness, greediness, anger. If a person is resorting to these thoughts, then they will suffer the consequences, because people talk about stress. The stress actually is karmic. Stress isn't stress. Stress is in modern words for karma. He's a stress leave. In Buddhist week, he's got karmic leave. He's taking a karmic leave. Sometimes you don't have to take leave; they will expel you. Consequences of one's action. People will leave. People won't have you in their midst. It's a karmic leave. He got a karmic leave. So a Buddhist person always understands these things, and therefore he become a little bit more cautious about not only what people have done to you or things that people have done, but what you will think about it, because you are more responsible for what you will think and do, rather than what you think they did to you. What they did to you have a very little consequences that is of their making. But there will be huge consequences of the response you will make. Maybe you are loved and cherished and spoiled by your parents. Most kids are, And if you've been loved and showered with the love and kindness and money and everything from somebody, and we might think it's good karma, but you never know whether it will be good karma or bad karma, depending on what you do with it. If parents have showered all those things, so that is some kind of sign of a good karma. But what you do with them is totally to you. So if you are very conscientious about take responsibility to what you do with what they have given, so even though they have given to you so much, you want to make sure that you do not waste them. You do not use them disproportionately. You don't use them for wrong reasons. You use them to honor them, and not let yourself become spoiled by them, thinking it's their generosity. that is actually enabling us to do this and that, then you will have lots of happiness. Then you will have lots of happiness on top of the material benefit, because you have lots of gratitude. So therefore, the good karma of being given, so being given doesn't mean good karma. Sometimes being given could be turned into bad karma. Wish somebody didn't give me that. That gave you, it's just spoiled you, and it made you become so irresponsible, so careless, so disrespectful of the things. So if you do not know to put the good use of the generosity of other people, then the good karma of being given is only relative to not being robbed. You are given is a good karma. So sometimes being given might be good karma, but sometimes being robbed might be good karma for a Buddhist. If you are robbed, you say, "Oh, I have been robbed. I don't have to purify my karma. They help me purify my robbing of the past." So this will be the Buddhist attitude. If you get robbed, Buddhists wouldn't say, "Oh, I must have robbed other people. This is terrible. Oh, I have been so bad in the past life, and now look, I'm going to." They don't think that's not Buddhist. Buddhists say, "Oh, I definitely robbed other people. There's no doubt over that. Look at this, what they're doing. But now at least they help me to purify my karma that usually I can't purify even on my own. Now they help me to purify the karma." And then instead of blaming and naming them, you actually accept that as a result of your past stealing or blaming to other people. See, therefore there is nothing that is independently good karma from its own side. It depends what we do intentionally and actually behaviorally, and how do we turn it into. So even harmful things that happen to you, it does not harm you, but actually it has enabled you to find another way to transform yourself, to become strong and grow, and therefore unfold. So the belief in Buddhist karma is not just fearing this, I wouldn't do this because it will have terrible consequences. I will be more fearful of being born as an animal, hungry ghost, if I do this. So that's another way of having a precaution for you to not to do something. So a Buddhist who believe in karma helps them to exercise restraint. Exercise restraint from doing bad things, and prevent those from happening anymore. Exercise restraining from doing existing bad habits, and exercising a way to prevent it altogether from not doing at all. Certain things you will just not do because you just believe in your kind of moral mind. You say, if I did this is not me. I wouldn't accept anyone doing that. Why would I do that? And therefore you have this ability to control yourself from doing certain things. Why? You believe in the law of karma. So Buddhists have to be person who believe in the law of cause and effect, and therefore he, out of his good conscience, he will refrain from doing such bad things. And because he's not doing bad things, which he is able to prohibit, this means it already is a wholesome karma. Being able to restrain and abstain from doing bad deeds or bad thoughts or such as ill will. A Buddhist would notice not only the karma of the body, but karma means consequences of his thoughts. He doesn't like himself thinking these thoughts or believing these emotions. Therefore, he will try to stop it from continuing into the future, and in knowing that it will have consequences. So karma is stoppable. Karma is preventable, and if there is no kind of self-control, then the karma will take care of itself. Karma is pretty reliable. Karma is very, very reliable. It doesn't cheat anybody. It is never unfair to one and fair to others. It is universal law. It's the law of the land, they call it. And if the law of the universe, I should call it, not just the land, but also in the sea, also in the sky, also in the air, not just those who are land bound. So the karma of the law of the universe. Law of the universe. Incredible thing about the belief in the law of karma is it enables you to accept even the most difficult situations, knowing that as soon as you accept, the problem will reduce. Incredible. So it's not a sign of weakness to believe in karma, but it's a sign of strength, because to accept it, you have to endure with lots of tolerance, lots of understanding, and a lot of vision. And the moment you take it, at the moment when you accept something like people blaming you, it looks like you are faulty, you are guilty, and you are weak. It may look like that, but the Buddhist person doesn't mind that. He's not worried about looking weak or looking stupid, because he is. So he he was, and he doesn't want to be anymore. So he's not trying to deny his stupidity and his guiltiness. He's guilty all the time, most of the time, because that's why he's a sentient being. Most sentient beings are guilty of all the wrongdoings. It's just question is how many are blamed or not. So Buddhists are very, very, very realistic, but the good thing about that is at the moment when you accept the thing, karma, that you look weak and you look guilty and you look miserable on the spot. But soon it will have a really great blessing to you, because it makes you strong, it makes you compassionate to your past, it makes you compassionate to your future, because you wouldn't be childishly reacting and denying and defending yourself. All these deluded people do that. Denying, defending, despising, all these things. And the suffering just perpetuates week after week, month after month, year after year, and there is no end of it, because they don't believe the law of consequences. The Buddhist person knows if he doesn't accept it, has its own consequences, even more bitter than the difficulties at the time of acceptance. So this is the kind of formidability of the belief in karma, enables you to accept the hardships and pain and difficulty, maybe weakness, and also guiltiness. Because the guiltiness doesn't mean you are 100% the doer of the thing. Guiltiness means you are completely accepting in whatever you were responsibility of. You can't be responsible for the whole thing, but whatever you are responsible, you accept. If you say that to people, they will be relieved. Oh, you are responsible. So you're taking your responsibility. Yes, I'll take all my responsibility. Whatever I am guilty of, I'll take responsibility. So whatever they are, because they can't throw at you what your responsibility. They will not naturally fall on you sooner or later. So you might as well pay all the debts right now, instead of thinking I forgot it, I don't remember, all that sort of delaying on deviant techniques. So because the karma will catch you in the next corner, so you might as well just get done with the done deal. So the Buddhists had this kind of humiliating your ego. That's very good. Humility means to humiliate your ego, You have to be humiliating your ego. You shouldn't mind being humiliated if there is a really good humiliation. Some good humiliation put misery to an end ever since then, because you allowed that humiliation take place. But if you think that you are never responsible, you didn't do anything, I'm clean, my name should be kept clean, that's exactly the cause of all the incessant, perpetuated suffering of samsara. So samsara means perpetuated action. There's no sign of stopping the action. Buddha said, stop the suffering and its causes. That ability to stop the suffering is stopping the bad behavior and the affliction that dictates it. So that's why Buddhists believe in the law of karma enables the person to suffer for good reasons. Suffering is a good cause of your compassion, for your past stubbornness, and then compassion so that you do not suffer like this in the future by remaining stubborn anymore. But in the meantime, being able to suffer, it's a good suffering. There are suffering that are good, There are suffering that exhaust your problems of the past. If you accept the suffering of the past will be exhausted, and it will not snowball into the future anymore, because you already purified. So Buddhists are very pragmatic in terms of accepting your share of responsibility. When you accept your share of responsibility, you have validly contributed the good to the other person. As soon as you accept the blame, then the other person doesn't have to blame anybody anymore, and they don't have to blame you for accepting the blame. They don't have to blame another person because there's nothing to blame. You already took care of it. And so where's the problem? The problem doesn't persist because you are not sowing a seed anymore. But if you reject the blaming, you are sowing the seed tit for tat. And so the one seed is bad enough. It doesn't need two to grow more. So because of that, it's a very pragmatic, very useful, very, very intelligent to be able to accept the blames. That's what the teaching says. Accept all the blames. Give all the credit to others. Accept all the blames to yourself. If you understand the law of karma. Of course, we know as a Buddhist, everything is interdependently originated connection. Nothing is independently happened by you. Nothing happens independently by their blaming as well. Their blaming doesn't make you feel bad independently, okay? You have to be stubborn, stupid, and to feel bad because they blame you. If you have the goodness to accept the blame, you know how interdependent their blaming is. This is only relative to how strong you are, how weak you are. If you're strong, you can accept the blame. Therefore, the blame is only dependent on how strong you are, or lack of it. As soon as you accept the blame, blame itself is interdependent, let alone its consequences. Because of that, you are not letting to see the blaming by them is not independent cause of the suffering. It is totally dependent on what you do with it. Because you are able to accept the blame, this completely remove the sting out of the problem. As a result of that, it cannot cause any more problem to you because you already transformed the problem into a solution. Problem is now solved. And as a result of that, now the person who is blaming you will see that you have accepted your share of responsibility. That doesn't mean that they don't have to face any responsibility later on. They will. You can never take somebody's wrongdoings responsibility. You know as a Buddhist that you do not try to be muddled with somebody else's action. What they did don't really matter. That's totally entirely up to them, and they will face the demon later. You don't have to tell them. Don't tell them. I'll accept you blame, but you will suffer the consequences. I'll watch you. You don't say that. That will have their own consequences. So therefore, as a Buddhist person who believes in the law of karma, he knows what he does have positive consequences to him, and hopefully will also have positive consequences to the other, because his blaming is totally dependent on your goodness. If you accept it, his blaming has become good because it solved the problem, and at nobody's expense, at the exhaustion of your bad karma of blaming to others in the past. No wonder you are blamed by other people. Otherwise, you wouldn't experience this. So if you are very much praised and honored and worshipped by other people, what do you do? Oh, looks very good karma, but dangerous. Looks very good karma, but most people will think, oh, I'm so fortunate, I'm so much loved and worshipped by these people. But it's a very precarious thing. If you are loved and worshipped by others, you should think, this is very kind of them, but it's very dangerous for my ego, so I have to be very careful. So very careful. So it's no doubt about their generosity and kindness to me, but do I deserve it? Am I worthy of it? So when you start thinking of that, it humbles you rather than make you more arrogant. This exactly. So karma of being loved and worship or being kind by other people is a positive karma on the sense, but whether the consequences that will make you to become kinder to other people or more arrogant, thinking you deserve it type of thing. So karma is very, very fluid, very, very fluid. It's on the constant flux. Whether they're worshipping and loving you will become cause of your happiness or cause of your future suffering, who knows? So be careful, because karma has a so there is no kind of one fixed outcome. It depends. The word depends is really good. It depends. So that's called dependent arising. Everything is a karma means dependent arising. Karma doesn't mean independently because of their kindness I become so happy, because of their generosity I become happy. You don't do that. Even if they are very generous, which you do not want to ignore, you should think, oh, I must have been generous to other people. Now this person is also showing me so much kindness, generosity to me. So, so I must make sure that I do not spoil this generosity of this person as a cause of arrogance and cause of this. Also, I should feel humbled by someone's kindness and your past karma. All the due to dependent origination connections that I am in this situation being loved. And so now the question is how much benefit that I being loved or I being respected has got to do. And so therefore, instead of being inflating your ego and pride by receiving these things, you still use it to not become poison to the pride and self-importance. And then this means now you understand the law of karma. You really believe in the karma, so much so that you will do certain good deeds to other people, even they don't do. Never mind if they do these bad things to you or others, but you still do the good deeds. Because you know that that consequences you're doing good to them, even though they doesn't seem to be rewarding you, acknowledging you, but you will be rewarded unfailingly and incontrovertibly in the future. The future doesn't have to be next life. It could be next year, and it could be 10 years, could be 5 years, maybe could be next life. Because any time next is not now. We know that. So we are believer in the next. Law of karma means believer in the next. You wait until next turn comes. Call it. Yeah. So you will never misplace a karma. Karma never get misplaced or forgotten to record or if you try to avoid what your duties are, karma will never miss you out. They will see. Those Australia, when you go to Australia banks, you take all the changes. You take all the changes from couple of months. I do that. All the changes after every 4 or 5 months, I put them all together and then take it into the bank to bank all the changes. And they change it. If there are any foreign coins, maybe more valuable or more less, they all get separated. They don't accept. They don't accept. So it's like that. All the karmas that you think people know you did right or didn't do, all get recorded. When it will completely be separated. There are no foreign karmas that get rejected. So you will never be. If even say people didn't acknowledge you, people didn't say thank you to you, you never seek those. You're not needing compliment. You actually will be rewarded by the karma, by the consequences, your generosity, not the neediness to be acknowledged. Neediness to acknowledge looks like already miserable. You don't have to worry about that. The incontrovertible outcome, inevitable outcome of the good or whatever deed you performed, you don't doubt about their reliability. And so it's really, in Buddhism, faith is not so much in the Buddha even. Faith is in the law of karma. believing in the Buddha is nothing really special unless it's related to karma. because you believe in the karma that is so well articulated by the Buddha, telling of all his past lives, what he was, what he did, and this is what I did, this is why I was born, as a result, this is what he used to do in the past, this is why he is also doing this life, such and such. He's elucidated the teaching of the law of causes or conditions, law of consequences, I call it. Because everything we do and say and think and feel has consequences, we have good reason to become mindful of surveying and reading and sifting through our thoughts and feelings and emotions. And we shouldn't nurse and keep some of them if you know they will have adverse causes, adverse consequences. So that's the meditation. When you meditate that, this ill will, this resentment, this arrogance, this sort of no use, my depression, my sadness, my anxiety, my illness are all contributed because I'm keeping this kind of thoughts. So a lot of the sufferings are thought-produced sufferings. Some are material suffering, physical sufferings. Most of them are mental sufferings. All the mental diseases, mental illnesses caused by bad thoughts. We are keeping and hosting and posting certain bad thoughts, thinking that these thoughts that we keep, attitude we keep, are warranted, not fearing their consequences in the mind and the body, in the arteries in which we are hosting these emotions. The conscious person doesn't know it's harm, but the body already feels the stresses. The people feel stress because the constituents that the body is producing is actually affecting your energy level. It's completely depleted. So people feel stress because we are doing a lot of negative thoughts. We are hosting and posting negative thoughts, and they're impinging us to the extent of feeling tired, exhausted, and stressed. That's the karma. That's the consequences of the thought mismanagement of thought. Thought mismanagement causes the mismanagement of the arteries and blood pressure and the like. Blood pressure is only the result. Blood pressure is the result of what you've been thinking. So therefore, not to do the bad thought and fearing their consequences is a Buddhist belief. And not only Buddhists, but everybody nowadays says, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't drink, or you shouldn't be angry. They say how terrible anger is to your blood pressure. They actually now know how much behavioral, how much dietary, how much emotional, I would say the destructive emotion actually destroys the fibers and tissues of your body. So what they're talking about is the consequences of thought mismanagement to the bodily health or lack thereof. So, therefore, belief in karma is not unique to Buddhism. It is also in science. Science uses reasons, and so does Buddhism. Buddhism is ultimate science. Ultimate science, because Buddha is the scientist of the scientist. He is the scientist of not just about matter, but also of the consciousness, of thoughts, of feelings, of emotions. Knows which emotions are destructive, which emotion are intelligent. He is sifting, and he's always sitting there quietly in meditation, just watching his thoughts, which are to be kept, which are to be deleted. And he finds more of them to be deletable. Delete. And then the more the deleter the thought is, the deleter becomes the intelligent emotions. The thought that can recognize the deluded ones to be deletable, and he gets to identify them, he deletes them. The more he deletes the deluded thoughts, that much he develops enlightened thoughts, intelligent emotions. Because of that, he feels very light and soft and gentle and blissful in his body, because he's not hosting and posting those negative thoughts. So we're talking about not thinking what I did in the past life that I'm experiencing. We're talking about what today's thought will produce next week's kind of emotional well-being or physical well-being. So karma doesn't have to be fearing the next life, the result. Within a week, you will feel the tension if you are resorting to hatred and anger and sadness and poor me. The more you do that, the more. But if you're practicing loving kindness and gratitude and humility and thoughtfulness and being very caring and giving and small acts of kindness to people, you can see your whole week is so good, because that's exactly the consequences of what your thoughts and words and deeds that you try to dispense to your fellow human beings. You realize it was a really good week. It's because people did nice things to you or you did nice things to you. It would be much more reliable to the latter, If you're always needing other people to do good things to you and you yourself couldn't be bothered, that's why you're more miserable. So if you're already preempting and doing good deeds, if you're doing good deeds, thoughts and words yourself, you will have a week that is exactly what your attitude has been for the week. You can see the consequences in the very week. You don't have to wait for next life's consequences. Next life is just consequences that snowball from this life. So with this understanding, when a person becomes cognizant of his inner state of affairs, Buddhist means one who is watching his inside of his mind and minding his mind and learning to tame and subdue and stay calm and plan the thoughts and plan the languages in which you're thinking. Do not keep the rough thoughts, just plan them again. And do not use rough language. If you see them, don't keep them in your vocabulary. And because they will have severe consequences. If you spoke harshly to your son or to your daughter, they won't love you for you as your mother. They will remember that thing you said quite much more than all the years of your kindness. So you need to fear that. You need to fear that, and therefore try to rain them with good kindness, shower them with gentleness, kindness. It's much more valuable than money and all the other things. People give lots of money, but how they speak to them, how they do things are so rough and so unskillful. That's they don't realize they have severe consequences. You will completely erase what one hand drew with another. So if we are kind and gentle and compassionate to the children or people who are under care, that's have much better consequences to you and to them and to the relationship. It's not so much what they do to you. What they do to you has a less effect on you now. You are already aware of the importance of how you do not become vulnerable and offendable by other people's so-called wrongdoing. There's no really wrongdoing by other people that's wrong in itself. It's just how easily vulnerable you are. Then you see all the wrong things people do. When you are very positive, you don't notice other people wrongdoing, anything wrong with that. It's just that you have the solution. You just apply it. You can apply that. You can apply this. All this. You have this whitener, Like you have all the typists in the 60s. Typists have this whitener. They have to whiten your mistypings. So you have the whitener. You have this magic type whitener. People call magic whitener. Called mindfulness. Called karmic. You understand the law of cause and effect. So because of that, you become cognizant that we are not consequences of what other people do, but we are consequences of what we let them do and sit there very, very inactive and like a doormat. Yeah. Doormat problem is not being a doormat. It's thinking you are a doormat. Doormat doesn't think he's a doormat, Doormat is quite happy there. We think we can't have the humility to work even as a doormat, Come on, let be useful for a day. So it says in Buddhist prayers, let me the bridge, let me be the bridge, let me be bench, let me be a little water or a little consoler, whoever needs me to be. If I need to be a doormat, if I need to be a water jug, if I need to be a tree under which people can rest, let me be. So with that kind of a positive karmic outlook, a Buddhist person believes not only in the law of karma, in what one does and says things in this life, but all our experiences are a result of what we did in the past to other people, and therefore all the habits that we are doing now will have consequences exactly what they are like. So therefore we have a very good reason to keep an eye whether we shall control, restrain, modify, or let the old habit continue and without any sign or need of noticing what you need to modify. So the mindfulness and meditation practices is all about how to understand and negotiate and mediate with karma, because karma itself doesn't have on its own, but it all depends how cooperative and humble we are to work with, accept the hard ones and let go the pleasant ones. And once you start doing that, then you see how unvulnerable you are from what other people do to you, because that makes you very strong and very formidable and wise and therefore compassionate to the other people. And this becomes compassionate to your future. You realize that every time you are compassionate to somebody, after weeks and months, you really feel, great, I did this, great, I did. You don't regret being kind to other people, being accepting to other people, being patient to other people. You really realize, even a few days later, you realize, I'm so glad I was patient with him. I'm so glad I didn't lose my temper. I'm so glad I accepted whatever they said, because it didn't really make me arrogant. It made me humble. I even saw some of my faults there that I wasn't willing to accept in the first place. So now I'm able to see my faults more clearly, because when I accept it, I can actually see that, and this is a good blessing. So this is the kind of outlook. This, therefore, doesn't make the person who accepts blames of other people weak and guilty and negative. No, he becomes strong and positive and transformative and transformed. So that's all we have time for. Thank you, everybody. All of you, thank you for listening and paying attention and being on this portal on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. Anyway, thank you very much. Unless you have question, there is a question. Is there a question? Yes. Okay. Where is the question? Okay. Okay. Is there a time? Could you please comment on karma in relation to the 4 R's for regret, reliance, remedy? Yes. Yes. When these 4 R's are to do with 4 things to resolve the problem. The first is power of reliance. We call the 4 powers, which start with 4 R's. 4 powers. First is power of reliance, so that you believe in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and the teaching of the karma. So you have to rely on that, and that's power of reliance. Second is power of regret. If you have strong sense of regret, positive regret of being so stubborn and being so arrogant and negative in the past, and then now owning them, take responsibility of them as if a poison, you will not touch that again. That's a power of regret. And then the third is power of resolution. Power of resolution is power of making a promise. So you make a resolution not to let this kind of stubbornness to continue in the future. And so you make a promise to yourself in the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or in front of somebody else, And that's the fourth one, is power of restoration. The remedy is restore. The remedy is doing all the above makes you to fully restored. You become completely restored of your dignity and your compassion and your ability to forgive other people, Now you're so restored of your humility that you can actually forgive other people. Right now, most people don't want to forgive anybody. Why? They're so righteous and so resentful of other person's doing, so righteous about oneself, and most people don't have the power to restore one's friendship of kindness. So that these are the 4 R's. Uh, so yes. There will be continuous live streaming or streaming of teachings on the weekdays practice and weekend Sundays, even while I'm overseas. Sometimes we might be able to stream some things from India during the pilgrimage if we can coordinate that. But so we will see. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Let's do the dedication merits. Maya na deje, whatever merit I have, me begas levas, to hold Maya na deje, courage manju jenye as a man, Trabadra de laiva, follow him. Oh, de hezamba, aja de ge de mere, me de hexelem body jeda, tebe vere na yedanza, where has been bo me dingri, freely vedadi generation. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.